There is an old saying in China. Even the most upright official cannot settle a family dispute. As a child, you might hear this and assume it simply means family matters are too complicated. But as you get older, a different understanding tends to emerge. Perhaps it's not about complexity at all. Perhaps it's about something closer to helplessness. Because so many family disputes are never really about the thing on the surface. Consider this. After their parents passed away, two brothers took their inheritance dispute to court. The elder brother won the house. The younger brother lost the case. By every legal measure, the matter was settled. And yet, from that day forward, the two families never spoke again. No shared meals during the holidays. Children who grew up as strangers to each other. The house their parents left behind was preserved, but the family was not. Many people hear this and find themselves puzzled. If the judgment was clear, why couldn't either side move on? Of course, many families handle these moments calmly and rationally. But there are others for whom the verdict only deepens the wound. And the reason, more often than not, is the same. What they were really fighting over, it was never the property itself. There is a pattern that runs through so many family disputes. On the surface, people argue over money, over obligations, over things that seem almost trivial to outsiders. But beneath the surface, what is actually being contested is an emotion that has been building for years, perhaps decades, without ever receiving a direct response. The question that could never quite be spoken aloud. After everything I have given to this family, have I ever truly mattered to them? Such feelings are hard to put into words, even harder to admit. No one wants to confess in the middle of an argument. I'm not really fighting over the house. I just need to know, in my parents' eyes, did my brother and I ever matter equally? Those words are nearly impossible to say. And so people fight about other things instead. Who paid more? Who didn't return the call? Who was absent when it counted? To an outsider, it can seem almost incomprehensible. So much pain over something so small? But those who have been through it understand. The hurt was never about that particular thing. It was about everything that thing represented. Why does this kind of emotional wound so often turn into a conflict over material things within Chinese traditional family culture? In Chinese tradition, the family has always carried an extraordinary weight of responsibility and expectation. Confucian ethics reinforce this further. Filial piety, respect for elders, collective duty, the subordination of the individual to the whole. These values place an immense burden on many traditional Chinese families, a burden of relational expectation that few cultures have imposed in quite the same way. Within this framework, the family was never simply a group of people living together. It was a dense web of obligations, loyalties, and unspoken agreements. Every action rippled outward, affecting the feelings and the judgments of everyone connected to that web. And within that web, many honest things could not be said directly. Chinese culture values restraint, harmony, and not burdening others. This means that grievances, however deeply felt, rarely find direct expression. They accumulate instead, buried within the friction of daily life, finding release through arguments about small, seemingly unimportant things. There is also a deeper contradiction embedded in this cultural structure, one that has never been formally resolved. On one side, the culture demands self-sacrifice, deference to elders, the placing of family above self. On the other, human nature has always longed for fairness, to be seen, to be recognized, to know that one's place in the family truly matters. These two imperatives have coexisted for centuries, yet they cannot be simultaneously satisfied. They are often wrapped for a time in the language of filial duty and the greater good. But when real conflict arises over inheritance, over who cares for aging parents, over who bears what burden, everything that was wrapped away begins to unravel. This is why certain family disputes seem to explode without warning. They don't. They have simply been waiting for an opening. When such disputes arise, the instinct is to seek a fair arbiter, someone of unquestionable integrity who can restore order and deliver a verdict. In Chinese popular imagination, that figure is a Judge Bao. In countless folk tales and theatrical traditions, Bao Zheng is portrayed as all-knowing and incorruptible, a magistrate before whom no injustice could survive. And yet, it is the very same culture that gave us Judge Bao, which also gave us the saying, even the most upright official cannot settle a family dispute. The fact that these two ideas have coexisted for so long is itself a form of wisdom. It tells us that the people who created them understood something essential. There exists a category of conflict that lies beyond the reach of even the most righteous judgment. The law can draw the boundaries of entitlement. It cannot reach the interior of the human heart. It can tell you who gets the house. It cannot answer what becomes of all those years of grievance. It can tell you who won the case. It cannot answer why does winning still feel so hollow. And so many family disputes end the same way. The case is won. The relationship is lost. The property is secure. The family is gone. At this point, some might be tempted to conclude that Chinese traditional family culture is simply a system of constraint, something that binds and suffocates. The perception is not without basis. But there is another side. It is precisely this same tradition that ensures most Chinese people never face life's hardest moments truly alone. When you are ill, someone is there. When you lose your income, someone steps in. When you grow old, someone stays. That dense web of family obligation, the very web that can feel so oppressive, is also what holds people up when they might otherwise fall. It is a tradition with real historical limitations, but it is also one that speaks in its own way to something deeply human. Perhaps that is what makes Chinese traditional family culture so endlessly worth thinking about. It has never been perfect, and yet it has always tried to ensure that no one must carry everything alone. Even the most upright official cannot settle a family dispute. Not because family matters are more complex than the affairs of state, but because affairs of state follow rules, while family affairs follow feeling. Rules can determine right and wrong. Feeling can only be repaired by the people themselves. What is truly most difficult to resolve in so many families is not the property, not the responsibility, and not the competing interests. It is the fact that everyone wants to be understood, yet no one quite knows how to begin. And so many family disputes end not with the loss of a lawsuit, not with the loss of money, but with the loss of the words that were never given the chance to be said. I see you.